Okay. And verse number 26, but I'll do some Purpura Prashanga. So we were doing this, verse number 26. So Bhagavan has sort of mentioned that what is Kshetra and Kshetragya, and how we need to see the difference between this, the element of awareness or consciousness, and the reality, which is the Jada Prakriti, and the Para Prakriti, or what is the Purusha, or what is called the consciousness. So the conscious and unconscious, these two together sort of are responsible for whatever is appearing as this phenomenal reality called samsara. And the one who sort of is able to recognize in verse number 23, he said, Ya evang ditti purusham prakritim cha gunain shahaha sarvatha vartamanopi nasa bhuyo vijayate. He shall not be reborn if somebody is able to sort of draw distinctions between these principles of manifestation. And this manifestation is not fundamentally real, but it appears real. And then he mentions how to meditate on this particular secret, this truth. And he says that you have dhyanen atmani pasyati kechid atmanam atmana anye sankhena yogena karma yogena chapare anye त्वेव मजानन्तः श्रुत्वा नेभ्यो उपासते तेऽपि चाति तरन्त्येव मृत्युं श्रुति प्राणपरायणः. And these two verses, he is categorizing all the aspirants, spiritual aspirants, into four categories. There are the sharpest ones, who are the very smart, very evolved, very focused Vedantis, who Atmani is first, is Buddho Pashyanti Kechida Atmana. Atmanam. Atmanam is the Pratyak Chaitanya, the consciousness which is sort of luminous in all individuals. That is the Pratyak Chaitanyam, and that Atma they see through Atma. What is that Atma? The refined internal consciousness, the refined Antakarana. And then Dhyanena, Atmani. And when they do it, they do meditation in the intellect. So it's essentially hinting at the Vicharatmaka Dhyana, which the Vedantins do. And then the second category, Anya Sankhyena Yogena. And other people, those who are the yogic discipline that we had discussed, they focus on ekagrata, they focus their mind, and then they bring in this understanding of Purusha and Prakriti, and they say that, okay, I am the Purusha, as per Sankhya, when they are innumerable Purushas in Sankhya. We're saying, I am this Purusha, I am this consciousness trapped in this Prakriti, these Sattva, Tama, Raja gunas, and the interplay of these principles, which has forced me into engagement in different kind of likes and dislikes and activities and sanskaras and attachments, everything. And they try to dissociate themselves. That is the second level. And when they are successful in this ekagrata, that becomes the entry point for Vedanta Chintana. That is the next level. So success in the second level, that's Sankhya Yoga, Patanjali Yoga Sutra and other things, to sort of essentially attain a certain level of deep equanimity of the self. This is not Moksha Karaka, but this is definitely Santi Karaka. It gives you a great amount of peace in mind, and the mind is ready for Atma Chintana, which is ultimate. So the second level is Sankhya Yoga. Sankhya Yoga, as for Bhagavad Gita, is Jnana Yoga only, which is Vedantic thing. But here, Sankhya Yoga means what we have discussed in chapter 6. Some sort of meditation in order to bring in great amount of equanimity in the mind, tranquility in the mind more appropriately, so that the mind is purified and is ready for thinking about the Vedanta Mahavakyas, like Tattvamasi, Aham Brahmasmi. And by meditating on this truth that we are not different from the Brahman, everything that appears is only phenomenally real, a person will ultimately open the doorway for exit from the cycle of birth and death. But the second stage is for the Madhyam Adhikaris. Then the Manda, the average ones, like most of us, is saying Karma Yogena Sapare, and those people will do Karma Yoga. What is Karma Yoga? When we do karma without Falakamana and with Ishwara Arpana Buddhi, the karma becomes yoga. But is it yoga in the right sense? He's saying no, gunataha. It's a guna britya. Like, for example, you describe a man who is very brave as a lion. He's not a lion, but he's very courageous. Similarly, this karma, obviously, it's not meditation. You have to engage with a lot of people and a lot of activities. And this is a bhuthana rasa. You have to jump from one subject matter to another. So the mind doesn't have enough chance to have yogic samadhi. But at the same time, through these activities, the mind attains far more higher level of discipline compared to a tamasic state where a person is either lazy or depressed or purposeless. Because that's a meaningless wandering of the mind that can be disciplined to achieve certain ends. So, if a person has a professional life, he has a family life, doing these duties, also the mind purifies itself. That is the third level, that is karma yoga. And at the bottom, if these people don't have any Atma Jnana, they don't have any exposure to either Karma Yoga or the Sankhya Yoga or Vedantic thing, but they have basic Bhakti Yoga in them. They have great regard for whatever they hear, like most of the common people. And they have dedication, they have great devotion to their parampara, their acharyas, and whatever they hear. Evam ajananta, they don't know the Atma. They haven't read Bhagavad Gita. Shrutva anyebhya upasate, but they have heard what Atma is and what you do some puja and some japa and some dhyana. They do it. Tepi cha atitarantyeva, they also cross over the sansara. Mrityam Shruti Parayana. Because of their great faith in the Shruti Vakyas. If the Upanishad has said it, it must be true. They do not allow their minds to run around whatever little spiritual skills they have, whatever spiritual commitment they have great faith. So they make use of that dedication and that commitment, and whatever little time they have in life, they are not experts in either Karma Yoga or Raja Yoga, that is Sankhya, that meditation, or the Vedanta Jnana Yoga. They don't have expertise in any of these, but they are great devotional people, and they follow the words of discipline as given by their teachers. And then he's saying, Khetra Khetrajna Ishwarya Vishayam Jnanam Moksha Sadhanam Yad Gyatva Amritam Ashnute iti Uttam Tat Kasmat. How, why a person actually gets liberation? Because this whole chapter is about Jada and Chaitanya and how that comes together, how this samsara becomes functional, and how Bhagavan is all of it, above all of it, but it is his parivyapta. This is what is a summary of whole of Bhagavad Gita in chapter 13. And therefore, he's now explaining why a person gets liberated by understanding the secret about the samsara and how that sort of manifests and rolls. Yava sanjayate kinchit shaktam sthavara jangamam kshetra kshetrajna sanyogat tad vidhi bharatarshava. So he's saying, do you know this? Please understand. Whatever you see as reality has emerged out of the kshetra kshetrajna sanyoga. Now, this is a deep secret. It's not the way a pen touches a table. It's not that kind of sanyoga. Bhagavan has earlier clarified in chapter 9, if you remember. In chapter 9, he clarified that look here, the relationship, I mean, everyone is in me. All that you see in the samsara, they are in me, but I am not in anyone. Then he says, they are neither in me nor I am in them. The relationship between the samsara and me is that between the atmosphere and the sky. There is no real relationship. I am the foundation, the way the sky is the foundation for the atmosphere. So there is no physical sanyoga. That is one way of mentioning for the Mandabuddhis, because he's initiating the dialogue on Vedanta. Now he is coming to the center point of Vedanta. He's saying, what is that sanyoga? This is adhyasika sambandha. It is a relationship of superimposition. Like how? So, what happens is that there is a rope, and you are or I am seeing a snake in that rope. But what is the relationship between the snake and the rope? Because when you switch on the light, the snake vanishes and what remains is the rope. And then, as I was telling, where did the snake go? Let's imagine there is a boy. He's very mischievous. He entered a room, but he's a very intelligent boy. He enters the room, he sees the snake, he gets scared, then he puts on the light, he finds it's a rope. Then he again switches off the light, he again finds the snake. Then he says, "Ah, my God, I'm going to have great fun then." Then what he does, he calls his friends, his mother, his aunt, his sister. He's saying, "Look, there's a big snake lying in this room." And they come and see and they get scared. Then he enters. He said, "No, this snake is a pet of mine. He'll not do anything to me." He enters the room and shuts it from inside, puts on the light and opens it, and then says, "See where the snake has gone." They all enter. He said, "Where is the snake?" He said, "The rope has eaten up the snake." Right? And then he laughs, and everybody is enjoying this. He said, "Really?" "Yeah, the rope ate up the snake." And then he said, "Okay, now get out of this room." They go out of the room. He shuts the doors and then switches off the light. He opens it. Then they come and they see there's a snake because again it's dark. The rope looks like the snake. Then he says, "Oh my God, where has the snake come from?" The boy laughs and says, "The rope has given birth to the snake." Now, this is the example. This is the drishtanta. Do you know what is the drashtantika? The real thing that I'm referring to is samsara. The samsara gets destroyed, Bhagavan says, layavastha, it enters into Bhagavan. What is the Bhagavan? Is the rope. So like the snake appears out of rope. So the rope gives birth to snake because of lack of light. So what is the lack of light? It symbolizes ignorance or deficit in understanding. So because of deficit in understanding, the rope gives birth to the snake. रज्जु सांप को जन्म देता है अंधेरे का कारण. Because of our inability to see the rope well, and the boys are getting scared. And then he switches on the light, and the snake vanishes. It becomes the rope, and the boy laughs and says, "Do you know, the snake has eaten up the rope has eaten up the snake." So Bhagwan से संसार पैदा होता है, like the snake is born out of the rope. And again, the sansar becomes leaner, it gets subsumed in Brahman the way the snake vanishes into the rope. That is Vedanta in few words, in a layman's language. So, how the snake comes into being? Because we superimpose because of lack of adequate light, we faultily associate qualities of the snake, like it is dark color, it's it's like a rope, and it is long, it is thin, it's undulated, lying on the floor. This particular dharma or quality or attributes of the snake we superimpose on actually what is a rope. And by associating these qualities of the rope, a snake that we have seen elsewhere, with a rope which we are not being able to see, we are calling the rope the snake. हम जो सांप के कुछ धर्म है उसको याद करते हुए, उसको जो चीज पड़ा हुआ है वहां पर रज्जु दौड़ा, उसके ऊपर अध्यासित कर कर जो दिखता है उसको सांप कहते हैं. So what is the relationship between rajju and a sarpa? Adhyasika. It is superimposition. And as a result of this adhyasa, we now consider the rope to be a snake. What is he saying here? Yavat sanjayate kinchit sattvam stavara jangamam. All that you see here, whatever you think is real, stavara and jangama, chara and achara, animals and plants, birds and human beings. Kshetra kshetrajna sayoga tadvidhi bharatar shava. Oh Arjuna, please understand, it is because of this relationship between kshetra and kshetrajna. What is kshetrajna? The Chaitanya Sarupa. And that is actually one. Kshetrajna is actually one, that is Brahman. But because we are different bodies, it appears vibhakta, avivaktam, vibhaktam eva bhasat. It appears as if it is divided into many. We did that earlier. So this one Chaitanya, one consciousness, appears as many. Like the sun gets reflected in multiple mirrors or multiple pots with water of different colors. The sun appears as green, red, blue, depending on the color of the water in the pot. You have colossus, you have small pots filled with water, and you have put some different colors. Holi is coming. And the sun appears pink and yellow and green. This color is our Papa Punya, our past Papa Punya. Same consciousness appears as a saint and a criminal, as a artist and as a sports person, depending on our own Purva Sanskaras. And ultimately, even the Sanskaras and the spots and all of us, this is basically an illusory appearance. What is such is only Brahman. What is true is only Brahman. Then why is it all appearing? Because of ignorance. That is what Vedanta says. That all this will continue to appear like this. Like the sky is not blue. It will continue to appear blue even after you have studied physics and you know the sky has no color. Even after we have understood that the mirage is not real, the mirage will continue to appear. Similarly, even after we understand that the sansara as such doesn't exist, even then the sansara will continue to appear as if it exists, and we should not fight with it. We should live the way we do. But as Vedanta students, we should have a bit of patience to dissociate our mind from getting trapped in what's going on, stay back, and return to the inner self. Quietly, Satan says, yeah, all this is happening. But there is a truth beyond all that, and that truth beyond all that is the Brahman, that is the Atma. That is, he's saying Tadvidhi Bharata Saha. So let us look at the Sankara Bhashya. We had done a bit of it, and I will do it whatever, and we'll do also the Madhusudana, which is beautifully done in a very brief way. Yavat Jat Kinchit Sanjayate Samutpadyate, whatever you think is coming into appearance, coming into phenomenal reality, Sattvam Vastu, whatever you think is real, Kim Avisheshana iti ahav stavara jangamam and stavaram jangamam cha khetra khetranga sanyogat tad jayate iti evam vidhi janihi he bharata sava. So whatever you see, now one question might come into mind, whether everything is appearing is just one kind of appearance. How do you make sense of it? What is it? He's saying, look, all these are appearing with special qualities because of a relationship between this principle of consciousness and the principle of this inanimate reality. Now, this inanimate reality is the appearance which is superimposed on that consciousness which is nameless and formless. Might be very difficult to accept in the beginning in Vedantic Chintana, but as you proceed, you will slowly realize. And there are top class physicists who are slowly growing up to believe that actually all this universe, the physical universe, you may not be actually able to prove that fundamentally it exists. Even you can't defend it. Yes, phenomenally it's all true. Ultimately, is there anything like this? We don't know. Just imagine if you look at the black hole, there's no way that you have theories, but you cannot say that it was once the stars and planets and everything. And you don't know, after a few million years, we may be part of a black hole. Nothing will be there. All these things that we see, including ourselves, right? It's just an appearance, like a bunch of bubbles on a water surface. So he's saying, Vidhi Janihi. Kaha punam ayam khetra khetragayo sanyogo avipretaha. So what is this? That is the question in the minds of the student, and Bhagavan will explain. Na tava rajva eva ghatasya aveva sangshlesa dvarakaha samanda visesaha sanyogaha. So what is this connection between the principle of consciousness and this jada, the khetra and khetragya? Is it like a rope is tied around a pot to pick up water? You've seen that in villages where people use the pot, they will tie, there'll be a kind of a knot, they'll tie with that pot and they will use a pulley to drop that pot into a well and pull water upwards, isn't it? Now, here, is it like Sanyoga in that sense, physical contact? He will say no, but this is the question. संश्लेषु द्वारा का संबंध विशेष संयोग क्षेत्रेण क्षेत्रज्ञ से संभवति आकाशवत निरवयवत्वात्. But you have mentioned that the kshetrajna, that Chaitanya, is like sky, and it is niravayava. It has no physical attributes. So if Atma is non-physical, non-local, How can it be connected with this Jadavarga? Sthavara Jangama, you were saying, what's Kshetra is Sthavara Jangama, all these Jadavarga, Chetanvarga, everything. But how? How can you connect it with, how can you connect a stone with space? You cannot. You saying, no, it's not possible. No, api samavaya lakhyana tantu patayo eva kshetra kshetra gyuho iteretara karya karana bhava on abhyupagamat iti. And then he's saying there is something called a samavaya sambandha in Tarka, in Indian philosophy. What is samavaya samparka? I'll just say you look at this pen, okay? It's red color. This pen is a dravya. This is a vastu, a physical object. It has some color. This is rupa. Rupa is a quality, a red color. What is the relationship between the red color and the pen? The relationship between the red color and the pen, they say, is a relationship of inherence or samavaya samandha. What does it mean? Till the pen exists, the redness will be part of it. You cannot separate it. Okay? So you cannot separate it and they'll continue to coexist. And samavaya swekaiva. And this samavaya, Tarkika says only one thing. But vyakti bhedena, we think that there is a samavaya sambandha between the pen and its color. Okay? And the parts of this pen and the pen. Avayava, avayavi. There is also samavaya sambandha. Like the hasta and the sarira. There is also samavaya sambandha. So the upadana, whatever this is made of, this upadana and the final thing, they are also in samavaya samandha. So kshetra kshetrajna, can we say that there is a samavaya samandha? There is a principle of inherence. Why is raising it? Because there are some people who argue that God has made this universe out of his own physical body. There is something called Brahma Parinamavada. Without losing any of his qualities, he is being able to create this whole sansara out of himself. The sansara is not unreal. So he's saying, but it's not possible. Okay, because he's saying that iva khetra khetra gyaho iteretara karya karana bhava anabhyupagamat, because that you cannot say, because you are a Vedanti and you are saying that this sansara has materially not come out of Brahman. We talk about Vivartavada. What is Vivartavada? A projection. The snake has emerged out of the rope. Is it really the rope has become snake? No. The snake appears because of our ignorance. It is a projection. It is an appearance. The sansara is a projected reality superimposed on the Brahman or the Atma, which has no name and fame, no name and form, no colors, no attributes, nothing. Okay, so the samavaya sambandha will not be appropriate. So, what is the sanyoga you're talking about? Then Shankaracharya himself becomes the teacher. He becomes the student, raises questions, and he answers. How kind he was, so that he sort of asks questions on our behalf as a Purva Pakshi and then answers them in order to make it easy for us to grasp. Uchyate, okay, boy, listen to me. I am telling the answer. Kshetra kshetra gayoho, vishaya visheshinoho, bhinna swabhavayoho. Kshetra and kshetragya, they have opposite swabhava. One is jada, the other one is chetana. And one is limited. Desakala bastu parichinna. It is limited by time, space, and the physical body, whatever it has. It is not infinite. But Atma is exactly opposite. It has no time, it has no physical limitation, it has no spatial limitation. Okay? And he's saying Kshetra and Vishayonahu. Kshetragya is the one who knows the Kshetra. He is Kshetragya. He is a knower of this. He is the Chaitanya thing. And this Kshetra is the Jada thing, whatever appears. Okay? So Vishaya Vishayanaho, Bhinna Swabhavayoho, and they have two different natures. Itera itera dharmadhyasa lakshana sanyoga. So what is the sanyoga? Iteretara adhyasa. What is itara? Itara tad dharma adhyasa. Itara is this one. There's a pen. Okay. And in the darkness, this pen is just like this. Okay. And you're coming. It's a dark night and it's just like this. And you confuse. Just imagine it's a huge one. There's a pillar. You confuse whether it is a human being. because you're walking in darkness. It appears like a policeman standing with a red jacket. You think like that, okay? So you are imposing the dharma of a policeman wearing a red jacket, red dress on a stamba or a pillar which has red color because of the similarity of their length and the height and stuff like that, right? So you are doing iteratara adhyasa, superimposing the qualities of a policeman on a pillar, and you are thinking it's a policeman or a thief standing there with a red jacket. That is the adhyasa, and you are confusing this as that. So that is how he's saying that is the connection. The rope, the snakeness of the snake is being imposed on the ropeness of the rope. The ropeness becomes invisible, the snakeness appears. Now, the second thing is the rope. If you look at the rope, it doesn't have any venom. It cannot bite you. It is a rope. But then the fearful character that we associate with the snake, that it can bite, it has poison, these things are imposed on that rope. And it looks like a dangerous animal, which a reptile, which can bite us, which can have dangerous fangs to attack us. Fangs are not visible. It's a rope. It's lying. But we think it's a venomous snake and it can kill us. So this is a superimposition of qualities of the snake on an inanimate object called a rope. That is sanyoga. That is this sambandha. There is no other sambandha. That is what he's saying. Sanyoga kshetra kshetrajna swarupa viveka abhava nibandhana. How this sanyoga has happened? No real sanyoga has happened. The kshetra kshetrajna swarupa viveka abhava. We are unable to distinguish the rope from the snake. One is kshetra, the other one is kshetrajna, the atma and anatma. And this particular viveka, vivechana, the ability to distinguish, that we don't have. And therefore, we combine them and we impose the qualities of this jada on the Suddha Atma, and we call that as the self, right? So that is how it happens. We do itaratara adhyasa, sansarga adhyasa, itaratara, sansarga adhyasa, dharma adhyasa, all that happens. Sanyoga Ketra Ketragya Surupa Viveka Bhava Nibandhana. That is because Rajju Suktika Adina. So if you see, like for example, there is a rope where we see a snake. Similarly, it's possible that you see a nacre, and on a sea beach you see a seashell. Okay, it dazzles like silver, and then you confuse that as a silver coin. It's actually a seashell which is lying, and it is dazzling because of that quality, that luminosity it has. Okay, so you have seen those seashells, some of them dazzle like silver. So what he's saying that Rajju Suktikadinam Tad Viveka Jnana Abhava. Because of our inability to recognize the rope or the seashell, we confuse them as a snake or as a silver coin. Adhyaropita Sarpa Rajatadi Sanyogavata. So what do we see there? We see a silver coin or we see a snake on a rope or a seashell on a sea beach. Saha ayam adhyasa surupaha kshetra kshetrajna sanyoga mithya jnana lakshanaha. So what is that sanyoga? Kshetra kshetrajna sanyoga. It's very important verse. This is the heart of Vedanta provided in Bhagavad Gita. So this is actually mithya jnana lakshana. This is a faulty understanding. That is the connection that Bhagavan explains. Yatha Shastra Kshetra Kshetrajna Lakshana Veda Parijnana Purvakam. Now, if we understand Upanishads, we understand Bhagavad Gita properly with the commentary of great Sankaracharya and other acharyas who have provided adequate understanding on this. Veda Parijnana Purvakam, we understand. No, this is Jada. This is a rope. This is not a snake. It looks like a snake. This is Brahman, but looks like Sansara. All these Mera Tera, this is a joke. But it appears very strongly because of Purva Sanskara. We have to overcome it. Purvakam Prag Darsita Rupat Kshetrad Munjat Eva Ishikam Yathokta Lakshanam. For example, he mentioned there is a munja grass, and you peel off the outer layer, the leafy layer of that munja grass. There will be a thin white kind of a inner thing called Ishika. And this Ishika is valued. Huh? Now, the way you sort of peel off the outer layer to get that Ishika, which is the inner thread-like grass inner part, same way the Brahman, the Atma, is covered with ignorance and false superimpositions. When with the jnana, this Veda Parigyana, Khetra Jnana, Purusha Prakriti Jnana we have after understanding Bhagavad Gita, we remove the false imposed ideas about reality from what essentially it is, which is Atma Tattva. And if we are able to do it, Munjat eva ishikang jathokta lakshanam kshetragam pravibhajya, having distinguished, separated the Atma from the Anatma, from the Jada Vastu Varga. All these brother, sister, husband, wife, mera, tera, me, tum, all this is this Bheda Buddhi. These are the layers. These are the outer layers. We peel them off, we drop them. What remains is the Suddhatman. And Prabhupada, not the sun, na sat tat na asad uchyate. Earlier we have done that Atma is neither sat nor asat, because sat asat will apply to a thing like a pencil. It is there or it is not there. But this Atma Tattva is not like a physical object. This is parivyapta, it is everywhere, and we have discussed at length as to why sat asat, this kind of description doesn't apply to it, because it's not external to us. This is what is holding all of us. Okay? Na sat na asad uchyate iti anena nirasta sarva upadi vishesam. With all the names and forms we impose on that Atma, we drop them. We get rid of them. So we have studied about the Panchakosha Viveka, the Annamaya, Prana, the Pranamaya, Annamaya, Manomaya, Vijnanamaya, Anandamaya. All these names and forms. This is my Sattva Guna, this is my Rajo Guna. These are names and forms. I'm a man, I'm a woman, I'm a Jnani, I'm a Jnani. Names and forms. I'm Brahmin, I'm Rajput. Names and forms. Ultimately, what remains? I am. Neither man nor female, nor any old nor young. I am. And what is that I am? Not different from that. And what is that? And that and I, as pure consciousness, are non differentiated. And when that happens, you can experiment and you can also experience it. Take a walk alone and you just look for yourself. Slowly you'll find the mind is just jumping around like a mad monkey. There is no real substance to associate with, because it is such a silly boy. The mind is such a silly boy. If you look at a little child who is about 2.5 years old, you'll find she will go and try to pull the mother's. Mama is reading a book. The boy will try to pull the book out of mother. Then he'll go play with a cat or a dog. Then he'll fiddle with something, open the TV, close it, just jumping from one thing to other. And then it falls asleep after some time. The mother gives him food, the baby falls asleep. Again, it wakes up. Again, it involves with a lot of things. In a way, why the baby does like this? Where it gets this instinct to associate with so many things. This is the Purva Sanskar of several births. And depending on the Sanskara, the boy also shows signs of getting attracted to a particular set of things. But overall, this jumping around and associating, this is the cause of how we get trapped in everything that we do without a certain purpose. And slightly evolved ones, when you grow up, we have a certain purpose. That's all fine. But if you look at the mind, even if when we are very disciplined, the mind keeps jumping. So there is a vikshipta state, which is better than mudha. And so you have that vikshipta state where one after the other, you kind of have something to focus on. You are not completely ekagra, but you are from sort of jumping from one thing to the other, but there is a pattern in it. There's some discipline, which is relatively better. Okay, from mudha and vikshipta in a certain sense is relatively better. Now, coming here, स अयम अध्यास रूप क्षेत्र क्षेत्र संयोग मिथ्या ज्ञान लक्षण यथा शास्त्र क्षेत्र क्षेत्रज्ञ लक्षण भेद परिज्ञान पूर्वकम प्राग दर्शित रूपा the way it has been earlier discussed क्षेत्रात् मुंजात एव इशिकाम यथोक्त लक्षणम क्षेत्रज्ञ प्रविभज्य, when you sort of separate it, na sat tat na asad uchyate iti anena nirasta sarva upadhi vishesham yeyam brahma surupena yah pasyati sapasyati. So that he has mentioned, he will now mention in the next verse. The one who knows the self like this is the one who knows how to look at it, how to understand it. Kshetram cha Maya nirmita hasti swapna drishta vastu gandharva nagaradivad asad eva sad iva. Now look at this whole sansara, the Kshetra. Sansar kaisa hai? There is a description of it and it's very beautiful. Look at it. What is saying Maya nirmita? It's made by what? Bhagavan having given security to Maya. He allows that. He wears the cap of Maya, becomes that Jadugar, the magician. He becomes Ishvara. And with that, he starts doing this sankalpa. Let me be many, let me create this samsara. And that's how all we come to being. But he creates it based on our purva papa, punya. And when did it start? They say it is anadi. It has no beginning. When it started, we don't know. It was always like this. Okay? Buddhists and Hindus both. They don't agree it started at a particular point, somebody started. No, it has been going on like this. Now, this particular samsara, when we fall asleep, we see a beautiful garden in your dream, and then your sleep breaks and you're inside a very and you're inside the aeroplane, or you're inside a train, or maybe you are sleeping in your bedroom. That lovely garden is not there, but that lovely garden appears as real when you are in the dream state. Or for example, you see a huge elephant. Can the elephant be inside your physical body? No, but you are sleeping in your bedroom. How can the elephant enter your bedroom that you're able to see it? Look, it's possible. And in few seconds of your sleep, you're already in Eastern Europe and you're taking a walk. Imagine this is the last phase of autumn. So you see slowly, it's a lovely sun, and winter is approaching, and you have a lovely evening walk. And then 2 minutes your sleep breaks, and if you are in a humid, hot, or warm, southern India or middle India, wherever, or in a coastal city, so that beautiful, approaching winter kind of thing is not there. Okay, now how did that Eastern European city enter into a bedroom? That is the magic. Because of dream, that appears as real. There is something called Gandharva Nagari. What is Gandharva Nagari? Like example, sometimes you look at the sky in the afternoon, you see colors of different hues. It looks fantastic, isn't it? Sometimes you look at the horizon, uh, just before it becomes dark. You look at it, the sunset and all, and you see colors of different hues, and it's a very colorful thing. The clouds and all. It looks like as if a city where you have some strange, subtle, angelic beings live there. So that is called Gandharva Nagari, because we have an imagination that Gandharvas are kind of a state of being between us and the divinities. They are an intermediate state. So where do they live? So they live in the city of clouds, in the colorful clouds, and they found a music and stuff like that. So that Gandharva Nagari, it changes its colors and hues, and suddenly it becomes dark, and the Gandharva Nagari vanishes. Where does it go? It just vanishes. It appears for a while in the sky, and beautiful clouds of different colors. It looks like a city. Okay, and you want to go there. As a child, you must have thought like that. What a beautiful place! I want to be there on the top of that particular white cloud. It lasts for a while. Okay, so Gandharva Nagaradivad Asat Eva Sat Eva Abhavasate. That is actually not real, but it appears as if it is real. Iti evam Nishchita Vijnano Yaha. And then a person who becomes clarified, no, the samsara, I thought Satya phenomenally real, but ultimately not real. Nishchita Vijnano, that person whose mind, whose wisdom has become ascertained, has stabilized, is strong enough, and so he sort of confirms his understanding that he no more believes that this phenomenal reality is fundamentally real, ultimately real. Yaha tasya yathokta samyak darsana virodhat. And then what happens is, you earlier were very strong that this sansara is actually real. And then there is a conflict with what you read in the Upanishads and Bhagavad Gita, and then you sort of do viveka, apagachati mithya jnanam. because of this particular thing. Earlier, what you thought is real, that mithya jnana, which was very dridha, which was very strong, and you run after a lot of things. You valued your social commitments and family commitments and relations and a lot of things, becomes weak after some time. When you study the Shastra, you will do your duties, but the attachment becomes weaker. So the apagacchati mithya jnanam, that faulty understanding, goes away, runs away from you. Why? Because now you have been vaccinated with a new understanding called Vedanta. So therefore, the faulty understanding about the satyatva of the samsara, that is gone. It is still entering, but you have strong, your antibodies. So the virus enters, the antibodies fight it. What is the antibody like? The antibody is the Vedantic antibody. It fights that virus of samsara. Tasya janma hetuho apagamat. Why we are reborn again and again? Because of mithya jnana. Because we have aspiration. नहीं और थोड़ा करते ये करते थोड़ा मान लीजिए मैं थोड़ा सा, if you had been the greatest scientist on earth, you have that deep aspiration. God will say, okay, go back, study physics, study maths. Sent again. I wanted to be the best actor. Okay, go back, act in Broadways. So something or the other happens, right? Because of strong aspiration. Then that becomes janama hetu, the cause of rebirth. But that is born out of what? Mithya jnana. That this is real, I want to come back. Mithya jnana gone, and therefore janma hetu gone, no rebirth. एवं व्यक्ति पुरुषम प्रकृतिम च गुणैः सह, earlier he mentioned verse number 23rd, iti anena vidyan bhuya na avijayate. He again is not reborn. That means what? In a theological way, you shall not be reborn. But in a very rational, philosophical way, you will not again get trapped in faulty life situations where you are torturing yourself because of a wrong understanding. It will not repeat in our lives. Even if you don't want to believe in rebirth, okay, forget it. That is Shastra. But even if you don't want to believe it, it's all right. But the way you suffered, let's imagine, in a particular life situation because of faulty understanding, because of over attachment to people, to situations, to your own ego, and to what you wanted to do because of a lot of ego and stuff like that. Once you become lighter with a better understanding, you will not repeat that loss. What is the loss? Loss of attention and time and mental peace and everything. That loss shall not be repeated because you have become lighter, smarter, philosophically and spiritually. That would be one takeaway point. Now, in the next verse, now in the verse number 27, what it says is, Na sa bhuya avijayate, he is not reborn. Iti samyak darsana phalam. That is the result of samyak jnana. Yathukta prakarena uktam, the way it is mentioned in Shastras. Avidyadi sansara bija nivritti dvarena janma bhava uktaha. So what is the phala of Atmajnana? The phala is avidyadi sansara bija. So because of avidya, ignorance, that is the bija of sansara. Again and again you are reborn. And that bija nivritti dvarena, but you remove that bija. What is that bija? Is avidya, ignorance. Then you remove that seed. Will the plant be growing? No seed is there, and therefore dvarena janma bhava uktaha. Remove the seed, no plant. Remove ajnana, then no rebirth. Janma karanam cha avidya nimittakaha. We are reborn, we are suffering same problems in life again and again because of ignorance. And that avidya nimittaka is what? Kshetra kshetrajna sayoga uktaha. And that avidya nimittaka, ajnana, is what? Confusing that the sansara, which is superimposed on the kshetrajna, on the atma, is real. The snake is real. If you remove the snake from the rope, what remains? The rope remains. The snake was an appearance. So you remove this faulty understanding of the sansara, what remains is the reality of truth, which has no name, no form. Atma eva. Ataha tasya avidyaya, and of that ignorance, what do we do? Nivartakam, the remover. And that is the kind of, it's like you have this hit, right? You have that insect spray. So this Vedantic truth is like an insect spray. And what is the insect? The insect of Maya, the insect of avidya, ignorance, the insect of samsara. You use this hit, insect spray. So this insect killer, so ataha vidya nivartaka samyak darshanam. That insect spray is actually what? Perfect knowledge of what is Atma. Paripakva jnana, matured understanding of it. Uktam api punaha sabdantarana ucheta. That same thing is being rephrased in more words in order to establish in us a deeper faith in the truth. What happens is that because we have a lot of negative impressions from different millions of lives, even if it is told to us, we don't hold on to it. We forget it and we indulge in samsara again. And therefore, here what happens is Bhagavan is again repeating it to remind us about how we need to train our mind to adequately sterilize ourselves against any kind of contamination, any kind of infection. So, you're kind of vaccinating yourself, you're kind of immunizing yourself from the attack of ajnana or avidya. In the next verse, verse number 27, samang sarveshu bhuteshu tishtantam parameshwaram Vinasyatsvavinasyantam yah pasyati sapasyati. Samaha samam sarveshu. What is that Parameshwara? That Parameshwara is same. Sarveshu bhuteshu, in all these animals and human beings and birds and plants and mountains and rivers and jungles and deserts, everything. Tishtantam Parameshwaram. That Paramatma, that Sachidananda Swarupa, which is Sarva Vyapaka, is pervading everything, including all that we see and all that we do not see. Binasyatsu, all these Jada Varga, is it permanent? No. Will it be there for a long time? Yeah, maybe for a few years. And they will all go. The beautiful mountains you see will not last. Human beings, very few days. Birds, insects, mosquitoes, 10, 11 days, right? They have a life of 8 to 11 days. So a lot of people, you have shorter lifespans, and maybe there are certain animals and certain birds who have longer lifespans, but they all are binasya. They'll not be here for all time to come. Now, in all these mortals which do not have eternal life here, what permeates them, what pervades them is that eternal truth called the Atma. We are mortals so far we look at our body, our qualities, our color, our appearance, our name, our form. We are immortal, we are eternal if we look at that inherent consciousness in all of us. So, if we are able to see that particular Avinasya, the one which will never get destroyed, that Parameshwara, that Sachidananda Swarupa, Yah Pasyati, the one who is able to see that, he looks at a human being, but he doesn't look at a human being as a male or a female or as an educated or uneducated, but he sees that as Atma Eva. He is the one who knows how to see. He exactly knows what the reality is. He is able to appreciate the truth. That is what he is saying in verse number 27. Let's complete it. Samam nirvishesham tishtantam sthitim kurmantam ko sarveshu bhutesu brahmadi stavaranteshu pranishu kam parameshwaram dehe indriya mana buddhya vyaktatmanah apeksha parameshwarah tam sarveshu bhuteshu samam tishtantam. What is the point of your attention? What are you trying to see? He's saying first, object of your knowledge. What are you trying to see? That particular thing, samam, nirvishesham, without name and form. It's not vishishta. It doesn't have any qualities and stuff like that. Sthitim kurvantam, it exists. Ko sarveshu bhutesvan, in everything, all of it. Brahmadi stavaranteshu, starting with Brahman till a blade of grass everywhere. Pranishu, all the animals. Kang Parameshwaram, and then that is Tam Parameshwaram, I think. So, and that Parameshwar, that particular thing, Dehendriya Mana Buddhi Abhyaktatmanaha, and this in the body, in the mind, and everything, that particular self which permeates all of it, Apeksha Parameshwaraha Tam Sarveshu Bhuteshu Samam Tishtantam, but he without any variation exists in all of it. Okay, and then exists, and we address him by different names like Jivatma, all that, but he is that same one thing. Tani Visishtani Binasaswiti, and then all these different beings that we are, because of our own special Papa Punya, we have taken different forms. Tam iti Parameshwaram avinasyantam, and that Atma has no vinasa, there is no end to it, and that is pervading all of us, the one who can see him, the Bhutanam Parameshwarasya cha Atyanta Vailakshana Pradarsanartham. And why is he saying Vinasyatsu Avinisyatam? Abhinasyantam. Why is he putting these two words together? जो विनाश होने वाले हैं उनमें अविनाशी आत्मा को देख पाता है, वही जानता है क्या देखना है. Why is he saying this? He's saying this because there is a very clear contrast between all of us and that Paramatma thing, which is in all of us. But that alone will continue. It was always there, it will be always there. The ocean will always be there. The bubbles will come and go like us. We are like bubbles, will come and go. Katham, why? The question is saying, how? Explain to me. Sarvesam hi bhava vikaranam. Whatever is phenomenally apparent to our eyes, these are vikara grasta. Vikara is what? Modified. Out of what? That Sattvatama Rajas, that Prakriti, and that Apara Prakriti, and Para Prakriti is that Chaitanya. Jati lakshano bhava vikara moolam. Janmottara bhavinaha. Anye sarve bhava vikaraha vinasantaha. So whatever is born has this modification, okay? And once you have this birth, and then like for example, jayate, jayate, tishtati, bardhate, viparinamate, apakhyate, vinasyati, all that, all the vikaras they follow. And once you are born, that is the modification starts, and then you undergo a lot of changes, and then you die, okay? And all these they end in what? Termination or death. Okay? So, and they are vinasantaha. End of the day, there is an expiry date. It comes to an end. Like for example, let's imagine that there is a seed, and then you have a plant. The seed comes to an end, plant emerges. The child comes to an end, and there's a teenager. The teenager comes to an end, there's a man or a woman, right? So there is always, we'll discuss, there is actually badhya vadaka. One thing gets suppressed, another thing emerges. The sansara is like that. One thing comes to an end, another thing emerges. Saying bhavinaha anya sarve bhavikara vinasantaha vinasat paro na kinchid asti bhava vikaro bhava bhavat satihi dharmini dharma bhavanti. And then, if for example, all these dharmas, like this red color, this length of this pen, if I burn this pen, will the red color remain? No, because this dharma, this red colored dharma, is dependent on the existence of this dharmi. If so far the pen is there, the red color will be there in this pen. If the pen goes, if I break it into 250 pieces, maybe the red color will be visible. But if I burn it, it will all become carbon. Okay, so then the red color will not be there. So whatever dharmas we associate with ourselves, or whatever you see in the samsara, they are associated with the dharmis, those objects. And when they come to an end, the associated qualities that go with that particular dharmi or that particular object, they also come to an end. Okay, and therefore these vikaras also kind of get terminated. Ataha अंत्य भाव विकार भावा अनुवादेन पूर्व भावेन सर्वे भाव विकारः प्रतिसिद्धा भवन्ति सह कार्यैः. So when you have, just imagine that there is a mango and it is green in color, and then after you put some carbide and something, it becomes a yellow mango. It ripens. Then the green color gets destroyed, and there's a yellow color which is emerges. It becomes a ripe thing. It was sour. It becomes sweeter to taste. Okay. Now, the qualities which are associated with the later stage object are replacing the qualities we associated with the earlier stage object. It's the same mango, but it's undergoing changes. Okay. So when you look at that, you sort of, one particular set of correlations are replaced with another set of correlations between object and dharmi and dharma and the qualities that are associated with. And that is how a set of a particular product with certain qualities, karya with a lot of dharmas, like for example, this pen with this color, its ability to write and everything. So if I throw it in outside for a few months, and if you look at it, the color would have gone, and maybe it will become more fragile. It will have some parivartan in it, the bhava vikara, the whole thing undergoes modification. Child becomes an old man, and then it dies, isn't it? So everything sort of undergo changes in this vinasyat sansara. Everything is changing here. Tasma sarvabhutehi valakyanam atyantam eva parameshwarasya siddhim nirvishesatvam ekatvam cha. And then the Atma is completely different from all this. It is one, it's not many, and it doesn't have any colors and length and height and all these things. It's desa kala vastu paricheda sunya, and then it doesn't have sajatiya vijatiya or swagata veda. We have discussed that earlier, isn't it? Sajatiya is that you don't have two brahmans, that you will have some veda between two brahmans, sajatiya veda. Vijatiya, pen and pencil, you have brahman and something else. No, nothing exists, everything is brahman. And then since swagata, like leaves in the tree, Brahman and its part, no, it's Niravaya. It doesn't have physical body, so there is no Swagata Veda. So there is absolutely no Veda. It's Veda Sunya, Nirguna Nirakara. It's a Vailakyanam Atyanta Evareshwasya Siddham. Nirvisesatvam Ekatvam Cha. It is one and it is without any qualifications. Yaha evam yathoktam parameshwaram pasyati sa pasyati. The one who is able to see that Atma like this is the one who knows what the Atma is. Let's quickly finish the remaining couple of sentences in Sankara Bhashya. Nanu sarva api logaha pasyati king visheshana iti. Now, you're saying in that sloka, ya pasyati sa pasyati. Why are you saying this? Everybody sees. Anybody who has eyes, you will be able to see. Why are you giving importance to somebody who has studied a little Vedanta? What is so important about it? You mean to say other people cannot see? Everybody sees. And why are you saying the one who can understand the relations between Kshetra and Kshetrajna? And that samsara comes out of this adhyasika sambandha is the one who can actually see reality. Why this kind of a thing? Everybody has eyes. He's saying uchyate. Let me explain it. Satyam pasyati किंतु विपरीतम पश्यति अतो विसिनष्टि सैव पश्यति इति. सब लोग तो देखते हैं संसार में, लेकिन झूठ को सच मानते हैं. वो जो वेदांत पढ़ चुका है, आत्मा और अनात्म के भेद के बारे में ज्ञान पा चुका है, वो झूठ को सच नहीं मानता है, अतः वही दिखता है. That is what Shankaracharya is saying, that the one who has the understanding of what the real self is, he doesn't get confused by the appearances which confound all of us. Therefore, we are blind. He is the one who sees. That is for his stuti, his appreciation of this jnani. And yatha timira drishti anekam chandram pasyati tam apekhya eka chandradarshi vishishyate sa eva pasyati iti. Like, for example, there are some people having some eye problems. They have astigmatism. They look at the sky, so they see two moons maybe because of some eye problem. So they have distance problem. They cannot see, so they see 2-3 suns or 2-3 moons. So compared to him, the one who can accurately see, okay, there's a moon or one sun. It's not many. He is the one who is able to see. This is the praise which is kind of offered to the guy who has a special ability to focus on the truth. Tatha eva iha api ekam avivaktam yathoktam atmanam yah pasyati. Here also the one who knows that Atma is one. He doesn't have bheda drushti. He doesn't get confused with the sansara. The multiple is real. Sa pasyati sa vibhakta sa vibhaktan ekatma viparita darshibhyo vishishyate. So the one who see this whole world as divided and this and that, he looks at only one self. And these are all appearances. Therefore, he is a Vishishta, he is special. Sa eva pasyati. And therefore, we are praising that he alone sees. Itare pasyantah api. Others also see. Api na pashyanti. But they cannot see. Why? They see the viparita. They see the false thing is true. Viparita darshitvat. Because they see the faulty thing is real. वो सांप को देखते हैं, ये दौड़ा को देख पाता है. अतः ये नहीं डरता, वो सब डरते हैं. अनेक चंद्रदर्शिवत इत्यर्थ. And therefore, they sort of see a lot of moons, and this guy sees only one moon, and therefore he is the guy who sees, and that's how we finish Sankara Bhashya. There's a bit of Madhusudana Saraswati will do that tomorrow, and I'm just bringing the YouTube to an end. If you have any questions, you can ask.